Hello friends, my name is Aiden. Welcome back to DailyMaleFtm. This week we are talking about trans representation in media. So, enjoy. Alright, so today I'm going to be talking about misrepresentation and lack of certain areas that are represented. I feel like today the trans narrative, when it is portrayed, it's always one of like tragedy and sadness, and it's also always like portraying the stereotypical complete journey for a trans person. And that's kind of an issue because, for one, not everyone chooses to go the traditional route. Not everyone wants to go on T, not everyone wants top surgery, not everyone wants bottom surgery. And I feel like the media does not really ever portray that. Like, the media is always afraid to confront the fact that they don't know everything about trans people. Beyond that, I also find an issue with the fact that no one really ever portrays happy trans people. Like, there are like no trans people in like accessible media. I haven't been able to watch Transparent, I think it is, that Amazon show, yet, but I'm pretty sure it's already kind of sad. So I feel like every time someone puts a trans character in something, they feel the need to express that trans character as consistently struggling with their body and consistently struggling, and fail to recognize that sometimes trans people are happy, and it's important to show that. Because I remember when I had first come out, I was like, well shit, everything's gonna be shit now. Ironically, whatever. But I think, especially with the growing awareness about trans issues, it's important that we show the fact that trans people can and often are happy and can reach spaces where they are happy with themselves, both like without taking action or when not following the traditional transition route. If you're hearing an extra noise right now, that's because it was way too hot in here and I had to turn my air on. Okay, so now that I've laid out my issues with trans representation, the real question is, well, how do you change those things? Good point. I don't know. The issue with me always having problems is that I don't know how to take action, but I am thinking that the only way that we can really, as a community, fix the lack of representation that we get in the media is to create our own methods of representation. And I think that it'd be awesome if we had more trans people who are active in spreading different kinds of trans representation, which I do believe is happening, because there's shows and stuff like that coming out now, which I think is great. So yeah, I think that that's really the only solution. If you don't like the way you're being represented, then create your own method of representation, which in itself is still difficult, because especially with media, they only like spread about things that they think people want to hear, and it's common to be insecure. Well, I don't think people really want to hear about this, which is why, now, while I understand why people like mainly portray the trans narrative as a tragedy, because it gets more people interested and it really, I think, kind of draws them more into the story than a happy one does. That's why the media only talks about like bad things instead of great things, you know, all that kind of stuff. But regardless of public consumption, I think it's important for like trans youth to understand that happiness is achievable and that happiness is eventual. I think it may not be coming to you right now, but it's going to be coming to you later. I think personally, if there was more accessible portrayal of the happiness afterwards, like after you get through your struggle, that would help a lot more trans youth, I think, and maybe even like help to make a little tiny dent in the suicide rate if they were able to easily understand that it does get better after the tragedy. Because every trans person has their own individual tragedy. The generalization of it is bad enough, but when you only show that generalization of a journey and never show the happiness, it's even worse. what's even more complex about this is that we don't know how to stop it, because not everyone is like in our community has a duty to do that kind of thing. Like, you know, it's not your responsibility to fix it. You kind of wish the world would fix it yourself because you don't know how to, or, well, that's personally me. But I think that the only solution that is appropriate for the trans community is to do that, to actually find different ways to encourage correct and diverse representation of trans people in media, whether it's creating our own things, creating our own shows, getting our own novels and stories out there, or like just trying to educate other people so they feel compelled to tell these stories to the public. The other issue is, again, will the public want to hear it? Which always kind of trips me up, but I don't think the whole idea of people only being really interested in tragedy is always true. I think it's just a media constant that's perpetuated by the media, so if we like try to fix it like that, I don't know. I feel like a lot of my ideas about this are very far-fetched, so that kind of sucks. But if you heard me sniffling quite a bit, I'm sorry, I just got a cold out of the blue. So I hope that you enjoyed this video. I hope that I've said something important or something that you haven't heard, and if not, thank you for watching it anyway. I will see you again next week. Have a great week until then, and be sure to check back throughout the week for the other guys' opinions and stuff on this. Goodbye. See ya.